Welcome to Module 4 of the Workpaper Management Training Program. This module will cover the basics of reporting on your project. Projects can be reported on from two different areas. They can be reported on from within the project area or through the lists function in Central Console. We are going to start in the project area. Across the top of my project, there are three pink reporting buttons. We have the full project report, the work items report, and the project notes report. I'm going to start with the full project report. What you can see here is a full list of the work items in the project, as well as any notes that have been attached to that project. This is an ideal printout to give to a reviewer, either in hard copy or via email, to demonstrate that a project is done and ready for review. I can also choose to export this file to a PDF, HTML, Excel, or other file format. I can also choose to send it directly via email, which is probably the preferred option given that we are trying to go for a paperless solution. We can also choose to run slightly less detailed reports. The next one over is the work items report. This is just like the full project report, however, it doesn't show the notes. You can also see across the top of the report, we have details of the ledger, the client, and the completion status of the project. Finally, we have the option of generating a project notes report. This report is just the notes attached to the project and is ideal for exporting to send to a client as a query list. Just like any other Excel data table, I can then choose to filter on note type, work item, or any other detail there. All three of these reports are available for all users and can be generated easily but are not customizable. For those that wish to get a little bit more detailed or report on a range of projects, we have our project list and client list functions. First report that I'm going to create is using the project list functions, and that is going to be a list of outstanding work items. This is a useful list to find out what is holding up my jobs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a report that says, show me my work items that are being held up. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to look for a project ID anywhere in the system, and I'm going to look for a work item that is set to the status of suspended. I then want to make sure that I'm reporting on the right things. So when I select my fields, I want to make sure that I have header details selected. So I want to see my project ID, my year, title, project status, and date created. But I also want to see some work item status. So item title, master step status, preparer, reviewer, and then notes. The reason why I want to see the note detail is because I'm going to report on my queries, and so if I want to show what is holding up a job, I need to be able to see that note detail as well. I can also delete some unnecessary ones. For example, I'm looking at master step status and step status, so I don't need both. I'm going to select one line and hit delete. Same for item ID, that's not really necessary. Once that's done, I want to hit Save As. If I hit Save, it will save over the top of whatever report is selected, and that can affect the whole database. So I'm just going to make that a outstanding work items report. I can also choose to save these lists to my private list, which means that it won't show up in this general listing. If I select my Generate button, you will see my list gets created. What you can see here are my list of clients and projects and any work items set to queries. Where I have some notes available as well, you'll see that the note detail has been created. I can also choose to export this output to an Excel format and report on it further. This is going to be especially useful when I'm dealing with large amounts of data. For those of us that are also using a Power BI or other reporting tool, I can use this query writer to generate an SQL script which can be sent out to one of these reporting tools to pull the data directly. Closing that, I'm now going to look at my client list. Client lists are used to generate on a number of things in Central Console, not just WM projects. For those of you that are familiar with the client list functionality, what we're talking about from a WM perspective is an addition to that functionality. Under the client and matter sections, you'll see that we now have project options. Basically, I can report on any detail of the project at the header level. If I want to go more detailed, I'll report at the project list level, just like we did now, in which I can report on work item detail. So this higher level report doesn't show you the same level of detail, but it lets you tie in with a larger amount of data in Central Console, not just WM data. So what I'm going to generate here is a report that shows me all of my outstanding projects, and I'm going to group those by family group. So I'm going to utilize some additional data in Central Console, not just my WM data. First thing I'm going to do is save as, just to make sure that I'm not saving over the top of anything else. I then clear out any non-essential data for the moment, because I'm going to build this report from scratch. So the first thing I need to do is select my filters. My filters are very important here because it's going to restrict the amount of data that I see. So we don't want to cast the net too wide, but we don't want to cause any errors that don't generate any data at all. So what I'm after here is I don't want just all client data. The filter that I want is project specific. So what I'm saying here is show me any projects that are in existence and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify open projects. So to do that, I'm going to look for projects that are not set to closed and locked. It's also important to note But if I'm going to report on a status, or I'm going to filter via a status, I need to make sure that I'm accounting for any projects that haven't had any statuses filled out. Reason for this is that not everyone is going to be diligent in updating these projects. So what we want to do is catch any ones that haven't been updated yet either. So I'm going to select a status again, but I'm just going to select does not exist. So what I'm asking for there is show me any projects with a status that has not been updated at all. And then if the status has been updated, show me projects that are not closed and locked. Effectively, show me any outstanding projects. I now need to select my reporting columns. So I'm going to start off at the high level, and I'm going to report by family group. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to generate a report that shows me the projects by family group that can be sorted by family group or filtered by family group to make that information a little bit more relevant to our management. So I'm also going to choose some partner and manager details. It's important to note that at this stage, these first three columns have nothing to do with projects at all. What I'm doing here is filtering just plain old central console data. But now I'm going to add some project detail. I'm going to ask for the name of the project. I'm also going to ask for some of the details. Now the details that you can see here are the same details that appear in the headed section of our project. So you can see here our project ID, status, year, title, etc. This is the detail that reports in client lists, as well as this top line status. I'm also going to ask for the year of the project. The template, I'm going to use the template as a filter. So most of the time we're okay with year or the name of the project. Those two combined usually help us out. But I am going to include the template one because I like to filter on that template as well. I'm also going to put my preparer and reviewer. And finally, because this report is designed to report on the status of these outstanding projects, of course I'm going to add my status detail in as well. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit save. And generate my report. This report now is going to show me all of the projects in my database that either have the status of closed and locked not selected or no status included at all. I can also see who's working on that job so I can chase them up, and I can sort on any of this data. Just like any other reporting option in Central Console, I can send that out to Excel, to Word, or out to an email as well. If I want to save this project list to my section, again, all I need to do is save it to my private list. So for example, I might save this list to my public space so that everyone can access it, but I might add an additional field in the filter section to say, show me only the jobs that I am the preparer on. So I might choose the preparer and say only show me jobs that are prepared by this user, and so that list gets much smaller. That's an example of a report that I would save in a private list because it's something that only I want to see and I don't want to clog up that communal list. So there you have it. That's reporting out of Workpaper management. What we looked at was how to generate reports out of the project space, as well as how to generate reports using the client and project list functions. Having reviewed both the reading material and the video, here are some questions to test your knowledge. That concludes the fourth module of the Workpaper Management Training Program and the Workpaper Management Training Program as a whole. So congratulations on the completion of that, and thank you very much for your attention.